All right, welcome to episode 2 of the season of Reality Rundown. I'm your host Connor Nelson, and with me is Dal Baker again. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
We missed the last couple, but you know what? We'll get into it. I'll catch you up a little bit. I think you watched part of the last episode, but not all of it. So there's a little bit you missed, but not a lot. I mean, pretty much Frenchie is an idiot.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a reality show to where I thought a guy was going to do so well, and within the very next episode, like I don't know.
I think if we went back to the first episode of us talking about it, I think you were like, Frenchie is going to be my guy this season. I love Frenchie. I think he's going to do great. And then literally since that point, it's been nothing but just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's like the stock market crashed on him. Like I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing.
He comes in and instantly the first thing he does before anything else is promise 4 people or 3 other people, if I win this HOH, you guys are safe. Don't worry about it. So right off the bat, he's promised 3 people that no matter what, if he wins HOH, can't put them up. Then he goes forward this whole, he wins HOH, then the first 2-3 days, he's promised all the women, you're safe, you don't have to worry about anything. Don't sweat this week, you're not going home, you're not going on the block, just don't worry about anything. He tells the people of color, look, I'm not putting anybody, person of color up because every other season they get put up first. They're going out. I'm changing it this season. None of them are going up. Then he proceeds to put up not only a person of color but a woman as well, 2 people that he promised safety to. Then we get going to the veto. It gets used. Derek X used the veto. Then he goes and puts up one of the first people he tells that will be safe this week if he wins HOH on the block to go home. So it's like he literally promised everybody but 3 people safety, and that shows why you can't do that.
This is one of the things I have not saying I have a problem with, but it seemed less enjoyable for the other seasons. Is you have these people come in here who are such super fans, and I think the point of when we talk about Big Brother and Survivor and all this, it's really a social experiment to where you take all these people from different walks of life and you put them in the house and you see how they act together. Now you have all these super fans like Frenchie from Tennessee or whatever. He's going through here he's the strategist and he's the master planner or whatever. He's going through here promising everybody that he's going to keep them, and then it's dude, you cannot keep these promises. Why would he go so hard to try to win in week 1? Then they add this twist to where first of all, the 3 people on his team are safe. He already promises those 3 guys who he comes in with to begin with are safe, but Derek X or
no, Travis,
Big D or whatever.
Yep.
Which he was on his team, but he promises 2 additional people. Then they throw in the wild card competition to where that's someone safe, and then Xavier, he's safe as well. So there's all these there's this huge pool of people that in recent Big Brothers could be available to put up for nomination, but now it's cut in half, and he's promised everybody. I just don't know what he's doing. This is the exact reason why if I'd ever go in Big Brother, you do not win head of household first week. You just don't.
But I disagree. I think if done right and not what he's done, it could be really beneficial. Look at 20, Tyler. He gets the first HOH, and he killed it. He controlled the season from the very start because he started with that power, and he got all the people to come in. He talked to everybody. He knew exactly what was going on. Granted, he had some people that liked him a whole lot and would tell him everything that's going on with the other side. But I think if done right, the first HOH can be really, really critical. But I think Frenchie's game messed up when he won HOH. I think if this week he came in and was not HOH and just played out the week, he would have been much better. But he let that power get to his head and went on the biggest power trip I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, he was going through people in the rooms, just going in there, poking his head in, see who's with who, and then he tries to have the slaughterhouse.
It's crazy.
He shows that the Slaughterhouse alliance with the guys, and he has to have the
French kisses with the girls, like
which is unbelievable. Like the cockiness he must have to go up to 6 or 7 girls and be like, "Yeah, I've loved this show and I've always wanted to have an all-girl alliance." Like, what are you talking about?
Does he not realize, like, all these people do, like, there's nothing to do in the house. There's no internet. There's no, like, all they do is talk. Does he not think that that's gonna come up?
If you're in an alliance with every single person in the house, everybody, like, eventually it's gonna catch up to you. Like, everybody's gonna know what you're doing. He thinks that he is so slick and that he is running this house and that he is not gonna have to worry about a single thing. When in reality, I think he's gonna be in big trouble here soon.
It's just going back to what we said earlier. Like, the first episode, like the first or last episode we did this, like, I was so like, he's gonna get along with everybody. Like, I really thought he's gonna make these connections. Like, you know, he tries hard in these competitions. You know, like, he's gonna be a hard competitor, and I just don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see that behind him, that cockiness and just going through the house like he runs the place. I'm like, dude, like, this is first week. Like, he's driving everyone insane. Like, he's so untrustworthy at this point. Like, if they were smart, Colin would put him up immediately.
Yep, I 100% agree. But going back to how we haven't been here in a couple of days, the last 2 episodes, so we haven't really talked a lot. But going back to the veto and Derek X winning, I disagree with his choice of taking Colin down. He says at the start of this episode, like, he did it because he wanted to win back some favor with Frenchie, which at the end of this week, Frenchie has no power. Like, at a certain point, like, who cares what Frenchie thinks? Like, you're not on the block, you're safe. Like, do what you need to do for your game, not his game. So, I say this because Derek X hasn't really gotten along with everybody. Like, there's been a lot of lies spread about him, and he's kind of on the outs with everybody in that house. But one of his main people that he talks to, that he gets along with, that he's always with in the house, is Travis. So he knew when he used that veto that Travis was going up and more than likely going home. So I just don't know why that play of using the veto and getting someone down that you're not that close with, like, decently, like, they get along, they're fine, but to know that your number one ally in the game, when you really don't have anybody else, is going to go up and go home. I just think that was a very bad move on Derek X's part, and I think it's going to come back to hurt him.
I do think it was kind of a bad move to begin with, but, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, and sometimes you do got to take a little risk in the game. I mean, he did take Colin off the block. I don't think Colin was going to go home, maybe regardless, but he did take him off the block. And, you know, just as we just saw, head of household competition, Colin wins. You know, you'd have to think that there's a little bit of, like, he'll throw Derek X a bone this week and he's safe this week.
Oh, yeah, Derek X is not seeing the block this week. But I just think that, like, knowingly getting rid of your number one ally in the house is never a good move, in my opinion, no matter what the stakes are. So, I don't know. I think that move will end up hurting him in the long run, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, but it is. I mean, we still are only until week 1 right now. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah, there's still so much that's going to happen.
I mean, it was his number one ally, but I mean, now he has so long to create more allies. And I mean, if we're just looking at what we just saw with Colin winning head of household, you know, Derek X took him off. I mean, you'd have to think you might see some allegiance there. I don't know how much, but, you know, that's going to be in the back of his mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, so then we get the Frenchie with Xavier and Whitney up in his room, and he's talking about how he wants to create a core alliance, which is, we've seen this in the last 2-3 seasons, where everything's about a core group of people, and then they have, like, the Onion Alliance, where they have people, like, there's 3 or 4 in the core, and then there's 3 or 4 on the outside, but they're still in the alliance, but they go first. And this is kind of what he's doing here, but it ends up not really being this. So he says the core, but then he goes on to say, I want to make the Slaughterhouse. He's like, I've always wanted to come in this game and make an alliance called the Slaughterhouse, which, again, very cocky, like, very arrogant, very, like, in your face, like, I'm the best person here. But either way, he has, with the Slaughterhouse, he brings in Kylan, Christian, David F., Big D, Brent, Alyssa, and Xavier and Whitney. And at the surface, sure, like, this is probably, like, it could be a really dominant alliance, and it is good to have the numbers, but just like literally from the jump, we have Xavier in the DR being like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. I don't see this working at all. And Big D instantly like, yeah, I'm getting out of this as quickly as possible. I'll ride with it as long as I can, but this isn't going to work. Like, you've already got these people that aren't really getting along that well. I mean, you've got Brent and Christian in the same alliance that literally from day one don't like each other. So I don't see how this is going to work, especially where Kylan won HOH at the end of this. I think this week it's going to split wide open, and it's going to be very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I think one of the
Biggest problems with the Slaughterhouse Alliance, which I don't know, to me it came across as like he wanted that to be his main alliance. Is like you say the Onion, he has those 3, and then he has the 5, and then he has the other 5. I do think that's the one he wants the most because it has all the more stronger players. So in theory, if just any one of those 5 wins set of household, like you should be safe for the week. But it's like I think the biggest problem with him is that he wants to be perceived as the leader in that alliance. It's like a team or whatever, but he wants to be like the captain. And I just can't wrap my head around how like dumb he's playing the game. Like I'm just shouting at the TV, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what is he doing, dude?
I'm excited to like. Well, I'm not excited. I won't see this, but like when he gets home and like watches this back, like what is he gonna think? Like, do you think he thinks like, oh, like I played this great, and like it was just because all this happened to me? Like it's Big Brother's fault for the wild card comp, for the teams. Like it's not my fault this all went bad since I promised 18 people, but who knows? But my cousin just texted me, and we did a drawing for like names for Big Brother this year, and he pulled Derek X. So he was like, do you not think that Kylan winning HOH and him pulling him down is a good thing? Yeah, of course it's a good thing. Like again, you said hindsight's 2020, so like. Now that Kylan did win, of course it's a good thing he brought him down because he's not going on the block this week. He's not seeing the block no matter what, really. Like, unless something massively happens, they get into it or something, he's not seeing the block. But where I was saying is, like, before this HOH, before even the vote, before he even uses the veto, like, Travis is the only guy that you have talked to all week, the only guy that you've shared any amount of information. Everybody else in the house thinks that you are, like, talking behind their back and you've plotted all this stuff, when in reality, he didn't do any of it. But for some reason, Frenchie just made this up, I guess, for an easy target. But everybody in the house believes that he is, like, literally the outcast, the person that's easiest going to be put on the block. And I just think for him to use that veto, and knowing that his number one guy, the only guy in the house that he can trust, talk to, know that he has 100% is going home, I just think that's not a good move no matter what. Even if you think that you're going to win some favor back over with everybody else. Because in the long run, I think most of the time, and I think it's still true with Derek X, except like if anybody else would have won, well, not anybody else, but majority of the house, if they would have won, Derek X was the easy target. And he's just lucky that Kylan won.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one of those things, like how Derek X, it's as like if you were to go to the Big Brother house, like there's 2 things you really don't want to, or me personally, I wouldn't want to do. Is 1, win the head of household, and 2, just like run my mouth, like I'll just try to like shut up. And it does seem like Derek X is doing that, and then for some reason it seemed like to backfire on him for some, like he's just like target for really no reason.
Because of Frenchie made up all this stuff for no reason, and dude, Frenchie is out of control. But yeah, I don't understand. But this week will be crucial for Derek X. He needs to get in good with Kylan. He needs to form some kind of anything. Get in with a group of people, because as of right now he's on an island and he's got to get something going for himself. And I think this week he really could with Kylan being HOH.
Yeah, and then like the thing with Frenchie that drives me so crazy is like he's causing havoc in a way that's really not that entertaining. He's just like screwing himself over. This isn't Evil Dick in season 8 where he's just going around pissing everybody off and like causing all these people out of their mind to where they can't think straight. Like that was entertaining. Like this isn't Dan Gieseling in season 10 to where like, you know, he has the funeral and like causing chaos. He's just ruining his own game into the sense to like, I'm just like, wow, like, dude, you have the most power in the house. Why are you making all these promises to people that you know you're gonna have to eventually break? And like, this isn't like he's gonna have to break them like long term. These promises will be broke within like
the next day. The next day.
Yeah,
like, literally the next day, you're gonna have to break a promise to somebody, and you just keep doing it.
And it's like the point. It's like, and it's like when you're with all these strangers or whatever, it's like you're just giving them a reason not to trust you or whatever. That like it's the second like you lie to them, it's like what can like they believe? And I just don't get it. It's just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Like I really thought he'd be a good player. It's just like my God, that I was so wrong.
Again, I think if he would have not won HOH this week, he could have been pretty good. Because, I mean, again, everybody likes him for some reason. Like, even though he's had this crazy week, everybody still wants to kind of work with him. Like, they do, but they don't because of how crazy he's been. But, like, if he didn't win HOH, I think he would have been loved by everybody. Like, and he would have been outgoing and he would have made moves. But, like, I just think him getting the first HOH was just a complete mistake for him.
Okay, but let me ask you something. Do you think with him being such a loose cannon that he can be brought into alliance as a vote and but they're very easily disposable?
No. Well, yes, he's very disposable, but I just don't think people are going to trust him because he's a loose cannon. Like you can't bring someone into an alliance and be like, we got to trust this guy with everything, knowing that like he's a loose cannon. You just can't. I mean, I just don't think he's that player, and I think everybody, especially now that they're gonna have time to breathe, where he's not HOH and have to appease him and like suck up to him, I think they're gonna actually be like, yeah, Frenchie's got to go.
But I mean, it is a numbers game or whatever. I mean, and I don't know. Maybe without the power, he can like look himself in the mirror and like, dude, I've been a jackass this week. Like, maybe I should try to.
Do you really see after this week Frenchie looking in a mirror and be like, okay, yeah, I was the worst this week, guys?
I don't know because
no shot.
At first impression, I thought it'd be really good, but now it's like you don't know. I don't know with him. He's such a wild card.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think he definitely, as of right this second, is sweating bullets because he just put Kylan on the block for no reason, blindsided the crap out of him. So I think he definitely feels the heat coming. But I think it'll just be very entertaining watching Frenchie on the block.
I mean, for him to be such a super fan and for him to allegedly like watches every season, writes everything down, talking about what he would have done different. We talked about the first four, like those first four people to go home. We already said Travis, like there would be no shock in our mind or no doubt in our mind that he would be one of the first four to go. I didn't see Frenchie, but when he goes home and he's watching this, not from the Juror House, like he's going to be open that book and he's going to be like, shouldn't have made promises to everybody. That was a dumb move.
Yep. Yep. 100%. But we get to the it's Kylan's birthday, and Travis. They asked Travis to dress up like a girl and give him a lap dance. And did you watch Big Brother 16?
No. Who was the winner of that?
Derek.
Oh, was that with Donnie?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that episode. I love that season.
Do you remember what's her name? Joey. Do you remember Joey, the girl that would like dress up as a guy, like had an alter ego and was just like super weird? She had like short blue hair. Yeah. So like she's like literally remembered as just like the goofy person, like wasn't there like too long, and that's literally all she's remembered for. This is basically the same thing as Travis. Like literally the only thing Travis is going to be remembered for is getting in this dress and doing the lap dance. Like that's the only time he was on the screen this season.
I mean, but I'm not shocked. Like, I mean, we saw him. Like, this dude really doesn't look like he's that good of a player. It's kind of goofy, but he's one of those people. Like, the first thing he says is like, "I'm from Hawaii. I like to catch waves, bro. But also, I graduated from Texas and I'm 3 degrees or whatever." It's like,
yeah,
which is it, dude? And it's
I think he was just there for the summer, just to hang out. He didn't really care, no matter what. He was just like, "I'm here. Let's just have a good time." And now he's first out, which.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just one of those people that's like kind of smart when they open a book or whatever, but when they get in front of people, like they're just like socially like stupid.
It's just
like
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
I just like he just seems so over his head. Didn't really have a good game plan, and just not like a very memorable character at all.
Right. And when you said he didn't have a good game plan, like he's on the block here. And he's talking to his teammates. I think it's Xavier, Tiffany, and is it Kylan? And
Yeah.
they're like giving him the rundown of what he should do. They're like, just go talk to Frenchie, lay it out there, just tell him that you can be a shield, like you're the bigger target, you won't go against him, you're super loyal, all this stuff. They're like trying to get him to go like at least try to save himself, because up until this point, like he gets put on the block and he's not talking to anybody, he's not trying to get any votes, he's just again hanging out, just he's there, he doesn't care. So he does go up and he's talking to Frenchie and Brent. And I guess they're like, if you talk to Frenchie, you're talking to Brent. So he's like laying it out there. Like he didn't even, I feel like it was just not a good, like he did give good points, but like he just wasn't, he was just very, I don't even know, like.
No desperation.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. No desperation. He's just like, I mean, I can be your shield. What is Alyssa going to do for you? I mean, that's all I got for you, man. I love you either way. And he just walks out. It's like, dude, like, try.
Like I do think there has to be when like a time to be desperate and time to like lay low. Like I think it's like you watch. It's like you had God. What am I thinking? I'm just blanking on his name. Who just left the house?
Travis.
Travis. Yes. It's like if you had like it's like Travis and Frenchie or whatever, it's like they go into that room and it's like you wouldn't know who has the power and who does it. It's like Travis was laying so low, like Frenchie should have been laying.
Yeah.
Or Travis was laying low, like Frenchie had, like he should have been playing. And then Frenchie is just so desperate, just like making all these promises, like Travis was. And I'm like, what are these players doing? Like, you have the guy with all the power who's making all these promises, doesn't need to be. And then you have the guy who's on the chopping block, about to go home, and it's like, yeah, you know, what can you do?
I also hate the thing where it's like the nominations are locked. It's after the veto, but then everybody still is like, we got to do what the HOH wants. Like he's got the power. We got to do what he wants. You got to go talk to him. He can get the votes. Like he can swing it for you. It's like at that point, the HOH has literally zero power. He's done. He's done for the week. He doesn't have a vote. He's not going to be HOH next week. So go like. Do what is best for your game. Like, go do what you need to do. Don't worry about the HOH at this time, especially week 1. Like, there's no reason that it should be like, oh, Frenchie wants Travis to go home. I guess we got to vote Travis out. Like, that just, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, it is one of those things where almost if it's one of the few things that did kind of work in Frenchie's favor from where him. I think if you just act like you should be here or act like you run the place, there is a couple people who are so brain dead who will be like, well, you know, we gotta do what he says. He does have the power.
Yeah.
It's like I don't get these people, and you know, it's a lot easier to say it like on the outside looking in, but it's like for these guys to be super fans, they're playing so stupid. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, dude, trust me, I know. But either way, we get to the vote, and this is when we get so Derek F and Tiffany throw out 2 hinky votes for Alyssa. And before all this happened, so everybody initially thinks that Derek X is going to vote to keep Travis because they're boys, whatever. And so he's promised everybody, no, like, I'm voting to keep Alyssa. I'm voting Travis out. He's told everybody this. And so Derek F, and I think actually Frenchie talked to Tiffany, I think this is how it went, and told her, like, hey, throw a rogue vote out there for Alyssa, and we'll try to pin it on Derek X, or, like, we'll just do it. And Big D wanted to throw a rogue vote out, but they literally, everybody he talked to and, like, asked if he should, they're like, don't do it, do not do it. And he did it anyways. But I feel like if there was only one rogue vote, like, it would not be pinned on Derek X. Now that there's 2, I think everybody's going to try to pin it on Derek X. And again, it's just going to keep going on from last week where, like, he's doing the right things. He's just, like, getting blamed for, like, things that he hasn't done. But again, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal just because Colin is the HOH. So he's not seeing the block no matter what. He's just got to, again, Derek X has to work hard this week to gain trust somewhere in the house. Because right now, I feel like he has none.
Yeah, but he has shown he did win the veto. He did show he's a strong player, like very like smart and strategic. Because I mean, he had the smartest game plan of anybody going in. Just to go back to the veto competition, and it's like they had it to where it was a big cocktail, and it's almost like a puzzle. You'd put a ball down there, and it would go through, and it hit all these fruits, and you try to get to the bottom, and everybody else is working at the top. And Derek X, you know, being the smart player that he is, he starts working at the bottom, and because I mean, if everybody's working at the top, like you're gonna look up there and you're gonna see what's working and what's not. So if he just works at the bottom of the puzzle first, then he can just go up there and like copy what everybody else is doing. He does that. He wins. He takes himself off. To go back to the rogue vote or whatever, I mean, I don't think if he did just stick with the plan, he voted out Travis, like his biggest ally. I don't think anyone would have depended on him because I think they would have depended on Colin because I think the 2 votes to keep Travis were from his own team, except for Colin because he voted out his own team member, which
Yeah.
strong play on his part. I mean, it works out well. I mean, you win head of household, you have all the power. I did notice when he won head of household, Frenchie came in there giving some like the biggest hug in the world. Like was afraid to like let him go. It seemed like it's like
Yeah, because he's sweating bullets. He knows. I mean, he literally just put Kylan on the block for no reason. Didn't tell him beforehand. Literally blindsided him and was like, "I put you up there because I trust you." That's all he said. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Colin would have went home either way. I mean,
No shot.
You're just a pawn, but like you cannot trust these people, especially Frenchie. Especially Frenchie.
That's what I'm saying. If like Kylan doesn't put Frenchie up, like I'll be so disappointed. He honestly he needs to like be like, man, I got you. You're not going up this week, and then it come time to put him up, and there he is. It would be such good television if like for the next day or two, however long it is before they do nominations, if he was stroking him, he's like, "You're good. You're not going up. We're boys." And they turns that key, and Frenchie has no idea, and there's his face. It would be probably the best moment of the season.
I do need everybody to just collectively be like, Frenchie, you're good. You have nothing to worry about. And then I need that blind side, put him up. But also think Frenchie's talking about a player that, he can win the veto. I mean, he's...
of course. I mean, anybody can win a veto. It just, of course.
I almost think they'd be smarter to... that Derek would be smarter to put 2 pawns. And, it's random when you have the veto. And I would almost put him up there to where he has no chance to save himself.
Wait, what? Sorry. Say that again. I was completely zoned out.
I said I'd almost be the point to where you put 2 pawns up there, and then just take everyone be in the house, be in the collective agreement, just to take them off or take one of the pawns off to just put Frenchie on there because he has no goodwill to anybody really.
What I would do, I would put Frenchie, Brent up, and no matter what, you're at least getting one of them.
Yeah, that's good.
There
at this point?
I see Frenchie is disposable now. I see
Brent is disposable. Who do you see as the disposable ones to where they go home? And it really doesn't affect anyone's game because that's the 2 that I think of at the top of my head.
Big D.
Who?
Who? Big D.
Do you think so?
I genuinely don't think he's brought anything to the table whatsoever except just being there. He's not done literally anything. He's in these alliances, but it's just because people are letting him in. People like him, but he's not going to win anything. He's going to continue to throw all the comps. I just don't think he's going to bring anything to the table. So I just think he's literally just along for the ride until he's just ready to go. Until they're ready to get rid of him.
But isn't at some point, very early in the season, sometimes being likable is all you really need?
To a certain point, yeah, for sure. But then that runs out.
But there's a point to where he's not a threat in competitions or whatever. He's kind of gonna be my way.
100%.
That's why I don't think he's totally disposable. Because to be disposable, you have to be some sort of a threat in some way. Because Travis, as boneheaded and as airheaded as he was, at some point, he was a physical challenge. He could be able to compete in those.
Yeah.
Big D, I don't think he would.
I guess I'm just taking it from the thought of he's just along, they're bringing him along as a number until it's ready to get down to 5 or 6, where it's okay, we got to start cutting our own. He's the first one cut.
Oh yeah.
I think that's that's kind of where I'm thinking of.
To me, that's one of the people that you would want in the alliance because, alliances only goes they only go as far as how many people. If you have a 6-person alliance, there's only 6 people left. Then you're no longer a 6-person alliance.
Right. And if it comes down to it, if I were there, I would want to take the person that has won nothing, that has done nothing except just everybody likes him, but he has no resume as to I've won 2 or 3 HOHs, I've won 2 power vetoes, I've saved myself, I've done this, I've done that, as opposed to you get up there and you're I've just hung out this season. Like I'm just here. I got along with everybody, and everybody liked me. That's your argument. Like I just don't think that's a good argument. And really, really recently, up and like I feel like actually a lot of the time people are gonna vote the person that's played the best game, and most of the time that means you've won comps, you've done things, you've made moves, and not the person that's just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, going back to season 7 with Dick and his daughter, whatever. His daughter, like
that's 8,
yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah. 7 was All Stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get season 8. I'm like Dick, like he played like one of the best games I've ever seen. To where it's the point he goes into the house. Granted, he did have he was one of 3 people who like known someone in his past. He did have his daughter. So I mean,
right.
that was always a number. And she didn't play like a terrible game. Like she like won, I think 3 vetoes at the time. And
no, I mean she was literally an All Stars. She was on last year's cast.
Yeah, I mean she was a good one, but like compared to like Dick's game, like Dick won head of household 3 times.
I don't know 100%. But either way, like he played such a game and everybody hated him. That's the thing. Like nobody liked him, and he still won.
Yeah, they were like, I dislike. He went to the freaking. At the last day, they're all speaking to him. They're like, why should
each one of us sit next to you? He went around to every single one of them and said, you played a terrible game. You don't deserve to be here. Jen, you don't deserve to be here. Eric, you don't deserve to be here. He told them, and they're like, oh, he did play the best game. There's $500,000,
Yeah. I mean, it is one of the things to where you want to the end, you do want that person who kind of sucks. Which is a weird thing to like drag someone that advances someone longer in the games. Like, well, you haven't played this game really well, so you get to advance even further.
Yeah, but I think it works. I think it's a good strategy, but I don't know. Either way, Kylan does win the HOH. I'm very glad because Brent. I honestly thought Brent had it, and I was gonna be like, this is gonna be a repeat of last year, and I can't do this again. Like I can't watch a season where the Big Alliance continues to win every single week. There's no surprises. It's very cookie cutter. Nothing crazy is gonna happen, and I thought that's what was gonna happen this year. But thank the Lord that Kylan hit the shot, and now he is HOH. So I think there will be some excitement this week. I think it will be fun. If Frenchie's on the block, I think he loses his mind, and I think it's going to be very entertaining to watch.
That is one of the more exciting parts about Frenchie. It's because when you see someone, like you see a CEO who's like a dickhead of a company or whatever, it's like he has like what can you say to him, whatever. It's like having that boss that's just a jerk. But like when you have a guy who's a jerk, but also working on like who's the employee like same level as you or whatever, it doesn't hit the same. So he's going down right now. He's going from the CEO of the factory right down to the assembly line.
Right.
And we're gonna see how that's gonna work out.
I could see Frenchie if he's on the block with Brent. I could see him pulling a Russell Hentz cousin, brother, whatever he was, and like just full blown like getting in a fight and getting expelled.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me, but the one thing you gotta realize about Frenchie is that he will do anything to win this game. Like when he's on the block, that's when you're gonna see some of the best television because he's gonna get so desperate.
I think he's gonna lose his mind.
He's gonna go full Dan. He might like swear on the Bible. He might swear on his wedding. Like there's nothing.
But you cannot put anything.
I think he would do that if he wasn't on the block. I think he would swear on the Bible, just being like for nothing, and then it ended up biting him in the butt just because he's that dumb.
I need it so bad. When Colin turns that key, I need it to be his
I need for the next 2 days, Kylan just stroking his ego, telling him that he's safe. It's all forgiven. Like, you don't have to worry about a single thing, Frenchie. We are all good. And that key turn and his face is on that board and just watch the meltdown. Oh, man, I need it.
We saw how he was in power. Like, is he gonna just go around and like open the door and look at every room? Now that he's just on the block. Is he gonna walk through that? Like, it's one of those things. It's just like, how does someone react? Because winning the first head of household, it's a weird dynamic to where you walk in from day one. There's not a target really on your back because you have the power. So you have that whole full week. It's really not the same experience as anyone else in the house. So then, like, he's about to come in on week 2 and finally experience all the things that everyone else has had on like day one. So it's very weird. It's like a weird dynamic that he's about to experience.
I think he's definitely going to think that he still is like the head guy and that he is like in charge and he's the top of the food chain. And I don't think really much is going to change. I think he's going to continue to act the way he's been acting. I don't see him getting like a reality check unless Colin turns that key and there's his face. And I cannot wait.
Do you think he has the presence in mind to just score? Because like he's gonna get put up. Like if Colin puts him up, which he should. I mean, it'd be stupid not to. First of all, you have that slaughterhouse alliance or whatever. So that's 5 people. Colin's one of them. What's he gonna say when he gets put up? Oh, dude, you're just a pawn. You're just a pawn. You know, look how I was a pawn last week, and you're gonna be a pawn this week.
Yep. Just say the same thing.
I mean, that's going to be broken up. And, you know, that's going to left him scramble. Who's he going to go to? All the girls? Like, I'm sure, like, they'll let him run the show there, you know? Like,
we already saw tonight the girls are like, I mean, we don't need Frenchie to make an all-girl alliance. Like, we don't need you. What are you doing? So, either way, I think this is going to be an exciting – it has very great potential to be a very exciting week, a very fun week, and I really cannot wait. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air from this last week of Frenchie just being all over the place and a head case.
For as much as like he's playing so stupid, I don't think I've had a season this early on to where it's just about one guy. Like it's like the Frenchie show. It's just he's not running it.
No, but he thinks he is. He 100% thinks he is. But no, this was good. Do you have any other thoughts from the past couple days? I mean, really, it's been, again, Frenchie. That's all there really is there to talk about is Frenchie and Frenchie alone. So there's not much else to talk about other than that. So like I said, this week should be a little more fun, a little more to talk about other than just Frenchie's chaos. But I did. Did you hear at the end where she said the wild card competition to like the winner, if they want to be safe, they'll have to change teams? I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing to remember is before we have these people get nominated, we also have the wild card competition. So I mean, there's a lot of chances this season to save yourself if you win. I mean, if your team doesn't win if you don't win the wild card, if you get picked for it and you don't win, and then let's say when they brought out that spinner last week to where you can either save 1 member, 2 members, or 3 of the whole team, like that, like severely like limits who can get put up on the blog.
I'll be anxious.
Right now,
go ahead.
Said right now. So who's safe right now? Colin,
Claire,
Sarah
and
Beth?
Tiffany. No, Colin, Claire, and Tiffany.
Okay. So right then and there, that's 2 more people that can't go up, and 2 less means like a greater chance of you going up. So It's like, oh god, this season right now.
I'll be anxious to see if Frenchie, if like he begs his teammates to let him play, and if they let him play, or they're like, no, like we're either gonna do it, like give it up to chance and have the like name out of the bag, or if they choose someone else. But I think Frenchie's gonna fight hard to play in this comp.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to have to, because what worries me is that he's going to be so arrogant and his ego is going to be so inflated that he's going to be like, well, I don't need to play this week. Because once you play, you cannot play until everybody else in the team, everyone else on your team
has to play before you play again.
Yeah. So, but if I'm him, I'm like, I'm about to go. My head's on the block. I'm about to go. Let me win for this, and then hopefully
he's got to know that, like, come on, you just screwed this guy over. You just put him on the block for no reason. Like, come on.
Does he though? It's like one of these things. It's like, well, I think that
he might look in the mirror and say, I've been a jackass this week. But it's one of those things, like, you just don't know with this dude.
Right.
Like, if he was like,
I don't need to go this week, I should be fine. Like, that would not shock me at all.
Me either. Again, Wednesday or Sunday, it'll show a lot. I'm very excited to see nominations. I'm very excited to see where this week goes. I'm so glad Brent did not win and Colin ended up like doing it, hitting the shot. But yeah, that's all I got. I mean, again, this week's gonna be fun. I'm gonna force you to do this the next 3 days because I think all these 3 episodes are gonna be really fun and really fun to talk about. We're not taking the next 3 days off. You cool with that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Listen, if I can't get a hold of you, I'll just get on here and talk by myself, and it's gonna be real awkward. But yeah, you got anything else from this episode, or you think anything you think that Kylan will do or won't do?
No, but Kyla did win the head of household. Like I said, Frenchie was, they give all their lovins, they give their hugs, their kisses, their whatever after every competition, after every veto, after all they do is hug. But dear Lord, Frenchie would not let him. It was like Casablanca whenever she was getting on that plane. Like he didn't want to let her go or let Kylan go at all. Like,
I wonder if he whispered anything in his ear or anything, because I feel like he's like the king of that. Like Travis left tonight, and he was like whispering in his ear, like, "Dude, like, shut up. You're the reason I'm going home. Like, get out of my stop."
Yeah. So clearly we both think that Kylan's going to put Frenchie on the block.
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's going to suck, and he's not. But I really hope he does.
Okay. With that being said, who do you think the two people are going up this week?
I could see like a Brittany with like a Brent and Brittany. Brent and Brittany. I think that's going to be the two, unfortunately. But I really want Brent and Frenchie on the block together. That's what I want.
One of the things, I think Brent's going to go up, but like Brent and like Frenchie, like I don't know how well they get together, but they do seem like the most mischievous group in the bunch. And right now, I don't think that's a bad target to go towards, because like the thing with like nominating people is like you're trying to piss off like the least amount of people as possible. Like that's why these like big groups almost
always
scare me so much on these big seasons, because like it's like they have all the power. People are also like afraid to nominate them, because once they get nominated, then next week it's like you're a huge target on my back.
Right.
And if six people win the head of, or you have six people with a chance to win the head of household, so it's like you have to do so well. That's why I don't like these big groups or whatever. But like also like what can you do about it? And it is like one of the smarter ways to play, because more votes that are with you, that's less against you. But I do hope it's Brent and Frenchie on the block this week.
I would love it. I would love it. But no, I'm looking forward to it. But we will be back Sunday night right after the episode, hopefully with a Brent and Frenchie on the block. I'm praying for that. It will be so fun. But either way, we'll be here. We'll be here talking about it, and we'll see you then. Thanks for listening.
See you, fellas.